I woke up the next morning to a bright and windy day, the kind that promised beauty and hope. The sunlight filtered through the thin curtains, casting a soft glow on the room, but my heart sank when I remembered that my parents hadn't come home last night. I had waited for them, struggling to keep my eyes open, but sleep eventually won, leaving me with an empty house. Some mornings were like that. They often stayed out hunting all night, returning with game that would bring in a good amount of gold and silver coins. Sometimes they were delayed by their search for the elusive moon herbs, the final ingredient needed to complete the concoction that might help me shift into my wolf form. According to the sorcerer who was aiding us, we needed a substantial amount for it to work, and it was rare. Without them here, I carried on with my morning routine. I cleaned up after myself, prepared breakfast, knowing my parents would be starving when they finally returned. Randall would need to eat before his swordsmanship training, so I set out his meal as well. Just as I finished, Randall stormed into the kitchen, dished out his food, and started eating in a hurry. He was already dressed in his swordman's regalia, ready for training. "I thought you were going to wait for Mom and Dad?" I asked, wiping down the old rattan counter.
"They'll be fine,"
he said between mouthfuls, barely looking up.
"I need to train. If the concoction doesn't work, I don't want to be useless. I need to be strong, just in case."
His words stung, but I knew he was right. In our world, power was everything. In the Raven 9 packs, our clan, and especially in our pack, the Blue Moon pack, without a wolf, I was treated as worthless, a target for bullying and intimidation. Strength determined your value, and Randall was determined not to end up like me. He finished his meal and left, leaving me with the housework as usual. Once I finished, I dressed for the market. The white silk gown I chose hugged my curves perfectly, and I adorned my hair with the best pearls from my collection. Slipping into my mother's leather shoes, I grabbed my animal skin bag and headed out. As I stepped onto the path, I spotted him, the young man who had saved me from Tasha and her friends the day before. My heart skipped a beat, and a blush crept up my cheeks. I had to know his name, at least thank him for what he had done. Without thinking, I started toward him, my mind racing with what I would say, but in my haste, I stumbled into a passerby, causing her to drop her bag.
"Hey, can't you watch where you're going?"
she yelled, glaring at me, flustered. I quickly apologized and helped her gather her things. But when I looked back, my heart sank. He was gone. I searched the street, scanning every face, but he had disappeared into the crowd. Disappointed, I turned and continued to the market, trying to shake off the feeling of loss. As I walked, I noticed a crowd gathering in the distance, murmuring in hushed voices. Something was happening, but I paid little attention, focused on the errands ahead. Then I heard it, my name, shouted with a desperation that tore through the air.
"Rica! Rica!"
I froze. It was Randall's voice, breaking with anguish. My heart seized as I turned to see him running toward me, stumbling and falling to the ground before he reached me. His face was soaked with tears, his body trembling like a child lost in grief. I rushed to him, my heart pounding. "Randall, what's wrong? What happened?" I asked, my voice trembling with fear. He looked up at me, his eyes wide with pain.
"Mum and Dad, they're dead. They were slaughtered."
His words hit me like a blow to the chest. "What?" I gasped, my mind refusing to comprehend. No, that can't be true." Randall pointed toward the crowd.
"Their bodies, they're lying over there."
My legs moved before I could think, sprinting toward the crowd, praying to the gods that this was a nightmare, a cruel prank. Tears blurred my vision as I ran, a silent plea echoing in my heart. "Please God, let this not be real. Don't let this be true." But deep down, I knew, the world as I knew it had shattered, and nothing would ever be the same again.
Will she rise or be undone? The answers wait in darkest gloom. The rain it falls, the world grows still. A storm brews deeper than the chill. She longs for vengeance, justice near, but with each step she feels the fear. Oh, the fear. The wolf that waits behind her eyes, she still tries. But danger rises, claws unseen, the hunt begins beneath the gleam.